20 years ago, that's when we started this, and
Hmm.
that word manufacturing was a bad word. That's dirty. That's for those deadbeat people. And I mean, that's how I got where I'm at today because of a teacher in high school. He just told me, story behind this. He told me I was going nowhere, and I was going to end up in trouble, and I was going to be deadbeat. So why don't you just go to some manufacturing job? You know, everybody's got a gift and talent, and there's people out there that have struggled in life, and so no one's really given them a chance. We like to draw them people in, um,
Hmm.
and we to give them a chance and show them, and it's kind of up to them. The soft skills is the huge thing. We got to teach them a soft skill first, because if you don't have a soft skill, you can't. It's impossible to teach a hard skill, and that's when I failed our educational system. I went to all these fast food restaurants, and I went to all these malls, and I tried to hire these people to bring them in, and give them a chance to, you know. Besides, they don't know manufacturing. They even went to college. They just thought this is what's out there. So we brought them in, but we didn't teach them the soft skill part, and that's how we failed. But
Why
so we
don't you
bring
go into a little bit about those soft skills? We talked a little bit about it in the initial call, but you named a couple few things that I think were really key.
Well, we at Cardinal, we started it, and the credit goes out to Dan Conroy, who used to work at Nexon Corporation, and he's retired now. But he came up with these 10 Commandments, and not biblical. They're 10 skills, 10, 10 Commandments of soft skills. It's basically, showing up, playing nice in the sandbox together, get along with others, stay off your cell phone, shake your hands, be polite, work together, and over at Cardinal, and focus on that. That's a given. Every day they read the 10 Commandments. And then whenever somebody gets a little out of line, if Craig can't handle it, he'll give me a call, and I'll come over and talk to him and give him a little life example. And so when these kids get out of high school, they know a little bit of hard skill, but the soft skill part, they'll come and dress nice, they'll shake your hand, they'll pay attention to detail, they'll be very polite. Um, and that's what they don't teach in schools anymore.
No, that's
And
awesome.
COVID really killed that. These everybody wants to do texting, video gaming, and all that stuff,
Hmm.
which is cool. So I always try to, I don't take no for an answer. I'll find a way. So now, everybody likes this gaming stuff and text phones. Well, what's machining nowadays? Machining is really a video game.
It is. It's like buttons, and then there's a screen, and you see it come up on the screen. You see the part. Yeah, that's a good correlation. I'm always trying to make those connections with people, like fashion people or art people. Like they're gonna have an interest in manufacturing because you're going from nothing to something. Or video game people. I didn't think of that one, but if you like moving your fingers and making things on the computer and doing things like that, then it kind of is pretty much the same thing as writing a program and make it in on the machine.
Yeah, it's a big touchscreen cell phone is what it is nowadays in
Yeah,
most controls. So that draws them right in. They're like, hey, that's kind of cool. Then you show them the CAD system part of it, and it clicks with them. I mean, I had this kid in here for a couple days just interning and job shadowing, and he's like, "This is cool." And he was playing, and the guy was almost scary smart.
that's
But
great.
he's got another year of school. But the only thing that's really killing that part of it right now with kids is that these construction. I'm not. We need construction people. We need electricians, and they come in these schools and they tell them they can start out 30, $35 an hour and all this wonderful stuff, but they forget to tell them that's after 5 years after their apprenticeship. And being a machinist or even a fabricator, you're just not a machinist pushing a button. It's you're about five different things. You're a chemist, you're a scheduler, you're an engineer, you're a process improvement. Because you can machine something one day and then try to do it again the next day, and the material variables, the coolant, the concentration. There's so many variables. So you're
Sure.
under a lot of stress. And why aren't we? These are the guys we should be paying them 40, $50 an hour or more, or whatever it is. All my people here are underpaid. I tell them that every day. But if I would have to pay them what I think they're worth, the customers ain't going to be willing to. Most of them are going to adapt to that. So
Sure.
how do we get that wage up? That's the thing that we have to do to try to be competitive with it. Most people I can draw on, I tell them this place is heated and it's always air conditioned. Your environment's controlled. When you're out working in the summer and a hot day, putting 14 hours in because you don't work in the winter, or if you're out working in the cold, and so that they start putting that dot, connecting the dots, and like, well, that's going to wear and tear in your body. Where machining can be wear and tear in your body too, but it's a little less harder on your body, I think, than that.
Yeah.
Um, but most schools, we're 20 years ago, that's when we started this, and
Hmm.
that word manufacturing was a bad word. That's dirty. That's for those deadbeat people. And I mean, that's how I got where I'm at today because of a teacher in high school. He just told me, story behind this. He told me I was going nowhere, and I was going to end up in trouble, and I was going to be deadbeat. So why don't you just go to some manufacturing job? And that's what drives me today, still this day. And the funny thing about it, I got in the school board, and my first year, of course, you're the first year, you're the rookie. You get slammed into union negotiations with the school. Well, guess who's the head of the union negotiations for the school teachers union?
This guy for sure.
Yeah. So, well, well, we had some nice words in closed session. Let's put it that way.
Oh my God.
Um, yeah, but I thanked him for it because I don't think if you ever told me that, I don't think I would have the drive I do today because of that. I always wanted to prove him wrong, and I just something that was in me.
I
So
think that's I think that, I mean, everyone kind of has where that drive comes from, and it like stuck with you. But the one thing you had said before that, well, like kind of what he says, like you're not going to do nothing, go to manufacturing. And like that's that perception that I'm like trying to change and morph and pack it up and send it out in a new perception to kids nowadays. But you saw manufacturing go from what it was to what it is now. I
yep.
don't have that experience from what it was before. I kind of remember my great grandpa or my grandpa kind of talking about it, my dad a little bit. People tell me stories, but would you be able to kind of touch on that transition, what it used to be and what it is now, because with that firsthand experience that you have?
Yeah, well, technology has changed a lot. Back in the 80s, it was just that's when CNC was just hitting the tip of the iceberg, and computers and that all kind of advanced so fast that now, a lot of these shops you walk into, I mean, it's like cleaner in a hospital. And, if you're doing medical work, I mean, or aerospace work, it's just super clean floors. The air quality's great, the lighting's great, and it's not this dirty, grimy, what everybody thinks it is. And this technology, running a computer, you got to be somewhat intelligent and smart to run it. I mean, you don't have I mean, people think I'm crazy, but I have a $500,000 Integrix sitting here, and I'm throwing a teenage kid on it. So there's got to be some trust built up in there because when you whack out a spindle, that's anywhere from 30 to sometimes $100,000. So you got to be really, really careful. So and you bring, one of the best things I ever did for the community wise, and I think it was our 25th anniversary. My dad wanted to have a big pig roast and an open house, and we know we couldn't run the machines, but we could have them on, but we couldn't have people touching them, so we had sample parts. And my dad, the food was free, and I tell you what, that was one of the better things we ever did because it opened the doors up. The community just saw where this is really a glorified pole building, and
Yeah.
they didn't know what it was. They didn't know what we did, and they seen what we did and what the parts went for and where they went and the technology behind it. Well, now I got the whole community. They're on board, and hey, I know so and so. I know this person, and we end up starting to getting people talking, and started getting applications. We wanted people to move back to the area, and that's another reason why we started it. My dad started MRESC because there wasn't the good quality high tech jobs around this area in northern Wisconsin. So you got to move out of the area to get a good job. And now it's right here in your backyard. You can stay in this area and still have a good job.
That's a
Uh,
great idea. That's a really good idea. Do you think that just doing more community, if you're, say, you're a distributor, manufacturer, OEM, whatever you are, what do you think those companies can do to change that perception? You guys brought people directly in, you let them see it, you showed them how different they thought it was, but what it really is, and you provided for them and you did that. What would you suggest to other companies that are looking to help change that perception?
It's just open your doors basically. I know you got ITAR, you got a lot of companies, ITAR. We're a little bit of that. You can't really disclose parts or prints, so you have to. It takes a little bit of homework before you can actually do it. But I think most customers out there love showing off their products and what they do because they see what we're doing, and we got this big. Let's say we're making a cylinder part, and they see where it goes, and maybe that would inspire somebody to go over to manufacturing to go work for them. So it's not it's not like we're giving out dimensions of the prints. We're just seeing the parts. But I just like the medical stuff we do here. The people really thought that was fascinating, where that went and what it did. So you just have to make sure your customers are on board, so nobody gets their feelings hurt or anything like that. But it really opened eyes up, and it's like distributors. I would have my doors open all the time. If you're selling machines, just bring people in and just
Yes.
when I give tours here, I went out and bought 1,200 T-shirts for like $3 or something like that. So when everybody comes in here, we give them a gift card box. We give them a shirt. We give them a candy bar. We have this little glorified postcard thing with some videos you can watch, some testimonies from people, and shirt. There's like 4 things in there, and we take it home. And then, if it's the kids, the high school's coming in, I go right out to the bus driver and I give them the whole gift package thing. So now we got all these kids the next day in school. We're at MRS Machining. You got bus drivers running, MRS Machining. It builds, it just builds
Builds and
momentum.
builds and builds, and then you're seeing it, and then you're hearing it, and then you're going there, and you're seeing all of that. Yeah, that's awesome. So with the HEH group, we have 2 distributors, one in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, Crotson Saunders, and one in Cuyahoga Falls and Machinike, or sorry, in Cuyahoga Falls, it's called Machinike. And well, we didn't have machines on the floor for a long time. Well, we're a Mazak distributor. You guys have a lot of Mazak stuff. So now we finally got Mazaks on the floor, and we're having like a big open house, excuse me, in August, and we're thinking about making the second day like a family and friends and kind of open doors kind of thing. And now after hearing you talk, I'm about to go back to the office tomorrow and be like, we got to do the family and friends
Yeah.
thing because you're right. Once even I did like a presentation a couple months back to a school, and the kids weren't really super interested in the presentation. I mean, some of them were, some of them weren't. But then we told them to come to PMTS, the trade show in Cleveland, and after that, their eyes were like, it's
Yep.
like once they see it, it seems to be very different. So I guess bringing them in and treating them and giving them the shirts and the stuff and
Then
everything
you
like
gotta,
that.
then you gotta do one more thing. You got it. So then we do that when they spark an interest. You invite them in for a job shadow,
That's a
and you
really good idea.
and then you just show them around. And we just have them different areas, and then so when we do that, I give them a little money for the day, and I give them a meal. So we order food in for them, and then we can sit down and have a one-on-one. What are you learning? What are you liking? What interests you? Does it interest you? Doesn't it interest you? Because one of my goals is, of course, to learn something new every day. But I want to make sure a kid that's going out into the field, he's making the right choice. He doesn't go to college and spend $100,000 and make a wrong choice. But then once you bring them in here, then you got to keep on them and mentor them and show them that you care and follow up with them. And because all these kids are from broken homes, not they don't have parents, or they do have a parent, and they just don't have the mentorship. And that's another thing I'll tell everybody: get a mentor. I mean, I have a mentor to
Yeah,
this day. Just away from here, doesn't have nothing to do with it. Just a mentor. Hey, what do you think about this? Someone a
yeah,
little smarter than me and brighter, and that's what kids need. They need a mentor, and it's just like a good coach.
I
You know,
agree.
when I played sports, I still look up to my coach.
Yeah,
So that's the kind of person I want to be. I want people to look up to me and want me to help mentor them, and so they can be successful in life.
yeah, and I think I coach cheerleading, and we see a lot of that. Kids coming from broken homes or different schools or just tough situations, and some of them come are fortunate enough to come from a really good situation, but still having a mentor. And I have a couple mentors that I really look up to, and I take their advice and etc. But having a mentor that to a kid or to someone feels unbiased and you really feel like they have your best interest is, to me, I feel like it's one of the best things you can do for your career path. At least that's what I would say.
I got a whole team of people that are help mentors. They mentor each other. They mentor the new people. Um, they want people to be successful. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, let's get into okay, so now let's go into 2023 MRS. What are you guys doing? What kind of parts are you guys making? And then I want to get into the school programs.
yeah, that's so yeah. We're growing. This is probably going to be our best year. We've hired. Hiring's getting better, and it seems like we're getting a lot of applications. Actually, we shut our ads down a few times because we get too many people. Um,
Really?
Normally, we like to take on 3 to 5 interns. Now, we think we have 7 here this summer.
Wow.
Actually, a couple of them are women, so I'm going to post a LinkedIn post on that, and so we have 7, and so that's been keeping us challenged. But we're busy. We don't MRS doesn't really have we don't really market. It's just people come to us for some reason or other. But I think we just make good stuff, and so we're growing. We're looking at expansion. The need for machining is going up. People that are slow, I just the work's out there. You just have to you have to get innovated and do it. Because the people that are going out, I mean, I get 5 to 7 auction flyers a week, and I just like to call the people up and say why you're getting out of it. And most people, are 60, 65 years old and just want to sell their stuff off and go live right off the sunset.
Mm.
So somehow that's going to have to change because a lot of people are reshoring. I went to a show out in Las Vegas, and my eyes were just blown away. I had no idea what I was walking into. My customer told me to go there, and I went there and like, oh my gosh, you want to see, man? It opens your. It's like IMTS show. You go there and you walk out of there, you feel like you're about the size of an ant. And the needs here in manufacturing, we have to get more people into it. And we're just fortunate that I have good people coming here and I want to work here, and we have capacity to grow with it. So we're grabbing some of it and trying to grow the best we can. So it's exciting. I know I've been, you go through those rough years, it's tough. So when you got growth mode, that's fun. That's good times because someday hopefully it never does. I don't think it's going to be, but you never know. So you guys got to kind of plan for that.
Sure, sure. Yeah, no, it sounds like you guys are really putting in the effort and you're seeing the return on the employment side, which a lot of people are not doing. So hopefully somebody listening to this can kind of take some tips and pull from that and hopefully get themselves back on track with getting people into their shop. But let's shift gears. Let's break down these school programs that you're involved in, um, Cardinal Manufacturing, everything. What are you doing? What's the title? Who's running it? How are you involved?
Well, now you're talking about my happy place. I always call it Cardinal Manufacturing. And I mean, there's more in Cardinal. There's Eagle. There's Tiger Manufacturing. There's Cub. There's a lot of them out there now. But no, it's my happy place. These kids are just amazing. And I always tell people if I was a machine shop owner, I'd probably be a teacher. But you go to a high school and you start talking to kids. You start teaching them soft skills. You tell them real life examples, and they listen to you. And they want to, hey, that's cool. And oh, Matt, they kind of look up to you, and it's just like so exciting. But no, Cardinal started back in '06, '04. So, at IMTS, I was going to put my IMTS thing out there. All good things, Super Bowler manufacturing. All
For
good things
sure.
happen. uh, All good things happen at IMTS. So I'm going down there, and a friend of mine said, hey, you got to meet this guy that's working for me part time. He's got this vision for school. His name is Craig Krakowski. So we didn't have cell phones back then. That's how long ago it was. And meet me underneath this banner in this hall about such a time. And so I did, and we got there, and all of a sudden I started talking to Craig. And if you ever talk to Craig, you got to get him on your podcast. You better
I,
plan for like 3 hours.
it'll be like maybe we'll do that one live, and it'll be like a whole TV show.
Yeah,
I'd love
yeah,
to have him on though. Yeah.
because he talks and talks and talks, but it's good talk. He's just so passionate for it. So he's got Cardinal Leverstrom is in a very big school. There's 170 kids in the whole school, and I don't know, 70% of them are in manufacturing. Now you tell me another school in the country that's got 2/3 of their school involved in manufacturing. Yeah, we started them in 7th grade with easy stuff, woodworking, metals, and then by the time they get to be juniors and seniors, they get into Cardinal Manufacturing. They have to apply, they have to go through an interview, but when they're juniors and seniors, they get paid to go to high school. Now, if I was in the junior and senior high school and someone told me I got to paid and get involved in a team and help people, and I'd be all signed up. I think this year the average check was like $2,000.
That's
So,
pretty good.
well, how do they make money? Okay, well, people say, well, they're gonna run you out of business, Matt. Well, no, they're not. It's the stuff that we can't do. I mean, it's the stuff like a farmer's equipment needs fixing, or a lawnmower needs fixing, or a lawn chair, just stuff that needs fixing. But as a shop owner, you couldn't afford to do it. You're better off going to buy a new one. But we just take those they take those projects over there and they fix them, and they quote it. They talk to the customer. They set a deadline. They make sure they meet it. They're all like their own little. It's like
It's
it's
like
an
their
own
own
business,
business.
and people, they'll charge them $20. Well, that's worth. I'm going to give you 100, and so that's usually what happens. And Craig's got so many industrial partners on there. If you go on there, there's a wall. Everybody has contributed to it. I think over the last, I think it's 20 years now, or 15 or 20 years, I can't remember. But I mean, it's been over 1.25 million equipment donated there.
No
Um,
way.
yeah, it's people, and anybody that graduates out of Cardinal Manufacturing that goes into manufacturing, their school's 100% paid for. It's through a couple individuals that are pretty wealthy in life, and they went into manufacturing, and they want to give back. It's industrial partners like me that donate money to them, and we have an open house in May, and that community of about 1,000 people, we have 1,500 people there, and we'll raise anywhere from $35,000 to $50,000 for the program,
Wow.
so they can do improvement. And if you see pictures of this high school program is like you can eat off the floor. I mean, everything's red and white. That's why it's called Cardinal. That's their motto for the school, and it's varsity shop is really what it is. And some schools have schools just for the athletics. You got to go there to be a super all-star. Well, everybody wants to open enroll into Cardinal now to become a manufacturing superstar, because
That
that's the
is cool.
yeah.
You
So
gotta send me some pictures, and I'll overlay them in the podcast so people can see the facility and things like that. Because that's love that, love it.
yeah, it's amazing. We kind of got a board of directors, but it's kind of like in business and machining. You kind of go off the seat of your pants sometimes. You just make it happen. Or if you
Sure.
have to go through the traditional school route, it takes months. I can give you an example. Craig was having we gave him a Mazak lathe. My dad did in 2000. I don't know when it was, 9 and or 8 or somewhere along there. That's one thing my dad always said: one hand's for giving and one hand's for receiving, one hand's for giving. And I remember Craig coming over here. My dad gave him a lathe, a mill, and a bandsaw. I'm like, whoa, hold on, we got the cart in front of the horse. But
Yeah.
anyways, Craig was having problems, and I think this lathe was like a T32 Mazak, and we couldn't get parts for it no more, and it was kept breaking down. And so I kind of got a little of my dad's genes in me. So I ended up calling their Mazak distributor and said, hey, do you got a machine around? He goes, oh, no, we don't. This is back during COVID, and well, they're off for about a year. Well, all of a sudden, he calls me up one day and said, hey, someone just canceled an order on a quick turn Primos. But you got to have an answer today. And I said, I bought it. I'll buy it. You know,
On the spot.
so, on the spot. So I call up Craig. I go, guess what? I guess I pulled my dad. And he goes, what? I just bought you a lathe. Oh, I ain't got no money for it. And I go, well, my dad. We'll find it. We'll figure out a way. So 2 days later, we had the money. We came up with the money, and we had the shipping was going to cost him from LA, and the shipping ended up. Craig calls me up and says, I'm taking away the chip conveyor. I go, why? Well, the shipping's going to cost $7,000. I said, Craig, you're not going to buy a lathe without a chip conveyor.
Got
No
a chip
way.
conveyor.
So we ended up picking up the seventh. We just donated him $7,000 to get the machine here and got a chip conveyor. But
That is
that's how
awesome.
that's how Craig does it. Well, now you got some new technology, and of course the first thing I did when I got on there, I turned the rapids down to like 20%, and it everybody worries about safety on it, and even anything in machining, there's safety precautions, and how do you run a program, and so that really it's run through their insurance program, and first 2 weeks of the school year we teach them safety. Here's what you can do, what you can't do. So it's not like we're just throwing people into an environment where they don't have anything,
Anything, right?
which is nice for us because when they come over an internship for us in the summer during the year, they have that safety training involved in them already. So they know they can't stick their finger on a spinning chuck or a spinning tool, or the door lock's got to be on and all that kind of stuff. So, and things are sharp. So that's all taken care of for us already. So that's what's kind of nice. And it's kind of like our farmers system. I always call it my farmers club because I gotta take a picture. I think I forget how many people are here from that program are working here now. So it's it's just not about for MRS, but I want other people in the area to
Yeah.
succeed. And if you ever hear anybody coming in, and I went to high school to Leverstrom, and I went through Cardinal Manufacturing, the next words out of your mouth is, when can you start? Don't even hesitate, because you'll be just blown away by how these kids perform and how they act. And so it's cool. You have to see it live. You really can't. So we have workshops through the year. Usually have two, if not three. You come over, we teach you. We bring industrial partners in. We bring the students in. We bring the teachers in. And we bring you get to see the program live for 2 hours. You get to talk to the kids. You have lunch with them. And there's a book written about it I can send you too.
Please. Yeah, I'll link it all in the description.
Yeah. So then see, the Koch Foundation came in, and I didn't even know who I was sitting to the next one day. And what Craig does is, that's one thing I learned from Craig is, what you reap, what you sow. So if you give to other people will probably double it in size. So I remember one story where at IMTS, and this one place gave him all this free tooling, and he said he loved cheese. So he went back, and Craig got back, and the kid sent him some, I don't know what kind of cheese it was. Well, next thing I know, the guy sends him a coupon for like $5,000 of free tools. So
Oh my
some
gosh.
couple $100 worth of cheese got him $5,000 in tools. So that's why I'm telling people, don't that's what Dan Conroy has taught me too. We teach over there, leave your building, go to their building, and start out. You're important to me, because every school, tell them that, and bring the kids over. And even people are just so shy and bashful. And I got, when I go to schools and I speak, I call it the three things to career success, and I got a whole list of them here, and I got them here in front of me. There's three things to conversation. There's 7% is the tone, like texting or words. Words. That's 7%. And I can text you naughty words, but I have to pick up the phone and talk you to it. It's a little bit harder, and that's about 20% of a conversation. The other 70% is what we're doing right now. You get the energy. You get to see the facial expressions. So that's why I say, leave your building and go to their building, because you can't get that through an email. You can't
No.
really get that through a phone call. And COVID kind of killed that. And I mean, that's why back in 2000, everything was everything was going to be, probably before your age, but everything was going to be done over the internet. I just kind of laughed that off a little bit, because people want to meet people and see people. And I mean, that's just the nature of human beings. So anyways, get back to Cardinal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a great program. And I mean, we're going to actually have a Cardinal reunion, because I think it's been 20 years now. And we bring back old people, new people. And we kind of have that in May when we have the open house, but not everybody can make it. So, but about that same time that was starting, we had the one up in Webster called Tiger Manufacturing, and that's Roy started that. So they started more on the woodworking side of it, but now they turned into a machining too, and they do woodworking and machining. They're a little bit smaller school, but I thought they were crazy. They brought in a 5-axis Haas machine in
Wow.
a high school, and they brought a robot, and I'm like, there's no way. And I was like, me and Craig kind of looked, but when Roy and his kids, they got a robot. They got a robot loading parts into a lathe. They got a robot loading a
Oh,
5-axis machine. It's phenomenal.
like
And
a collaborative robot?
yeah, it's a universal robot.
Okay. Okay.
And
That is awesome. Now
you know,
with Cardinal or Tiger, the
separate.
kids, so
They're they're
they say that again?
they're separate. They're separate
Yeah.
schools, but Roy is just like another Craig. That they share ideas, but
Okay.
but
Now, do these kids, so you said that they applied, and then once they get in, I think you had mentioned previously when we talked that they all have like individual jobs and things that they're responsible for.
yep,
So it's kind
everybody.
of
It's just like a business. I mean, they got a production scheduler, they got a guy in maintenance, they got a shop foreman, they got a head machinist, they got a head welder, a head milling person, um, they got a shipping guy. So it's a full-blown business. And they have accounting people in there, and finance people in there, and marketing people in there. They have Facebook posts, Instagram posts. I mean, they do it all. I mean, it's I don't know. It's kind of like me when you're a kid, you played with toys.
yeah.
That's how I
It's
feel. I feel like I'm a kid playing with toys again.
a
But
kid playing with toys.
but
That's
it's
funny.
it's just really it's like I say, it's my happy place. I just love going over there. And my wife always said, "Why don't you stay over there? I always come home happy." Not that I.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody, you know, that's why I tell people, oh, everybody gets all excited about these big lotteries, and I wish I'd win the lottery. And I said, I don't ever want to win the lottery. And I said, you know what? I already have won the lottery. Well, what do you mean? I said, the MRS. I mean, this is the lottery. The Heist Cardinal Manufacturing, that's the lottery to me. That means more to me than anything else. And you
That's so
know,
awesome.
I know more people. I know more people are really wealthy. I mean billionaires. They're the most unhappiest people I know because they got all this money and they got to have people managing it and they get all worried about it. Then the person that's living paycheck to paycheck is much happier. So just how you look at life, I
How you
guess.
do it. Yeah, that's incredible. And back with the Cardinal manufacturing stuff, I mean, the skills that the kids are developing, I couldn't even imagine being a junior getting that kind of a head start. I mean, I thought I had a head start on my career by starting some college stuff early and whatnot, but that is a whole new level. I mean, you can't teach experience in a classroom.
No, you can't. You know, and then I always tell these kids, you know, the machining, I mean, a lot of them don't go into machining or fabricating or welding, but I said you always got something now you can fall back on because you know what you're going to get yourself into. You experienced for the last 7 years, or last some people 2 years or 3 years or whatever. But you got that to fall back on. So if you go to be a plumber and you don't like plumbing, you can always go back into manufacturing. I have one guy right now that's went to be a plumber, and he loved it. And well, I ran into him about 6 months ago. You know, this plumbing thing is all right, but you don't get it's the same thing. It's repetitious. Or machining, it's something different every day, and I want to get back into that. So there you go. That's
So
a
there it
success
is.
story.
That's awesome. That's great. And is this the Fox News story? Did you have to
Oh,
talk about this on Fox News?
yeah, like Fox News. No, so well, everything happens at IMTS, right? So I met a guy down there named by the name of Scott Paul. Scott's a lobbyist for American Alliance of Manufacturers for like steel industry.
Okay.
And I don't know how I ran into him or what, but I ran into him at IMTS. That's all I remember. And I said, "Hey Scott, what are you doing?" And he goes, "Oh, we're just looking at the show. It's awesome, isn't it?" And I said, "Hey, I'm gonna go to this student-run business thing we're having on. Would you come join?" He goes, "Sure." You know, Scott's probably about 5 feet tall, and I'm about 6'1". So we go walking down there, and he's just like, "Wow, this is really cool." And you know, Scott's on CNBC, NBC, Fox News, CBS. He's on all the big stations of talking about Alliance for Manufacturing. I think he actually one time he might not have been. He was on one of the president's advisory boards.
Wow.
So one day, I get an email from the New York Times. I'm like, "What the heck does the New York Times email Matt Guse in Augusta, Wisconsin for?" And we want to interview you, and we do it was during COVID. Well, I had a customer looking for $1 million of machine work, and I couldn't do it. And so I just like deleted it. I was like, this is a scam. Well, about a half hour later, he goes, oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, Scott Paul recommended you. Well, me and Paul are like friends on Instagram, and we text a little bit back and forth. Well, now he got my attention. So this editor, this what do they call them, publishers, editors,
Yeah.
said, "Can I interview you about this work you're turning down and how's COVID affecting you?" And I said, "Sure." So the next day he calls me up and they talk to me for an hour like I'm doing right now. And they write this. They were thinking about putting this article in the New York Times. Thinking about it now. So I was thinking, oh, that's probably they don't have time for this little thing. So along the way home, about a month later, he calls me up and he goes, "Hey, I got this article wrote. I want you to read it." So I read it. Yeah, it sounds really cool. And he goes, "Well, we're thinking about posting it." Well, I said, "Well, let me know if you do." Well, he never said. Next day, all of a sudden, my phone and email started ringing. Hey, good, nice article in the New York Times. So whatever, oh, that's cool. Never thought my name would be in the New York Times. And so one of our ladies up front, I was just kidding with them. I said, next Fox News is going to be on. I was just kidding. And I'm eating my lunch, and she
You
comes in.
said it, so that
Yeah.
it came true.
So she comes in my office, and she goes, guess who's on the phone? I go, my wife? And she goes, no, Fox News. I'm going, Kim, I was just kidding. She goes, no, they're on the news. No, I'm thinking like local, the local guy is on the phone. So I pick it up. I'm here. It's like the national news people on. Hey, we've seen your article in the New York Times. We'd like to interview you on a newscast with Liz Clayman. Okay. She goes, well, we'll send you an email. Oh, half hour later, I got an email about it was going to be on such a time, and we'll get a hold of you the day of. Okay. So I'm thinking it's going to be, I didn't know really what it was going to be about, but I kind of knew it was going to be about that article in the New York Times. So the day before, I never got an email, and in the morning, okay, and I'm supposed to be live on a Wednesday at like 2 o'clock or something, 2:30, and all of a sudden this producer calls me, and that's how I got my camera and they had like a little mark on my desk, and we did live and tested it. And I go, what are they going to ask me? And she goes, he goes, I don't know. I'm just a technical guy to make sure everything's working remotely. Okay, but a producer will call you about 2 o'clock. So the producer calls me at 2 o'clock. No, nobody called me. That's what it was. Nobody was calling me, and it was like 2:17. I'm live 2:24. Also, my cell phone's ringing. One day I didn't shut it off. I'm glad that one day I didn't shut it off. I look at it, and here's his phone. It says unknown. I'm like, what's this? Who's calling me? And I'm about ready to hang up, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Somehow they got my cell number. And we're ready to go live, and I'm okay. So we made sure everything was working again. And I go, what are they going to ask me? She goes, well, Liz will be on in 30 seconds through my earpiece. So all of a sudden, here's Liz Clayman on talking me through my earpiece and says, hey, Matt, I love your story. We're ready to interview you and blah, blah, blah. And I go, what are you going to ask me? She goes, well, you'll find out in about 15 seconds. So that was all off the seat of my pants. And
I am nervous enough about going live, let alone having literally zero idea what's going on, getting a call and saying, go.
yeah.
Whatever we ask, you gotta answer.
So I made a lot of friends in about 2 weeks after that, and it's people that saying my shirt was too baggy, and financial people and stockbrokers and insurance people. But I did get some good connections out of it. I made and I still friends with the people at Fox. They're great people. They care about America. And I don't want to get that's the media is really a weird thing these days. But I think I got asked to go on before, and I kind of turned them down. But I don't know. We have to get our story out there. I want to get the story about Cardinal Manufacturing in high schools, and that's the story I want to get out. But nobody really wants to talk about that story.
That's
So
weird because I feel like that's the thing that should be on the news is like you guys are doing this thing for kids and kids are learning and kids are getting into manufacturing and they're doing skilled labor and getting paid for it and doing a good job. You'd think that'd be something that they want to talk about, but
they don't. That's a positive news story and not a negative one. I think
right.
more people want to hear. I mean, I'm so sick of the negative. I don't even listen to news no more. I want to hear positive stuff.
Same. Same. That's why I listen to podcasts. I
Exactly.
pick the
Same
one I
here.
want, I click on it, and that's it.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, I mean, if nothing else, it was exposure for the business, and then you did get the chance to talk about Cardinal, or not too much?
A little bit. I got a little bit, and I got a little bit of a stab into it, but no one really ever followed me up on it. That's what I was kind of hoping for.
And that's what we need is someone. You went out there. I mean, you didn't know what you were getting into, but you put it out there, and I wish someone would have made you talk about it a little, like had you talk about it a little bit more,
Yeah.
so other people can hear it. Because, I mean, that's really I feel what has happened is nobody's talking about manufacturing. Not a lot of these programs like Cardinal and Tiger exist. I mean, I think they're getting more popular, but definitely having people like you and MRS and Craig and everybody really putting effort towards it and seeing value and putting effort in the youth.
Yeah, no, trust me, we had every politician in the state through that program, but it just, I don't know, they don't see it. So actually, we're starting I mean, there's another little thing that we're starting called the SOS, I call it Save Our Schools, but we're going to publicly fund, for putting equipment into the schools. We're gonna fund paying the teachers what they're worth because school teachers are so underpaid. I mean, that's why we don't got no school teachers. And the average teacher around here is maybe 50,000 plus benefits. Well, and I know we can make that in manufacturing tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I did first thing I did over when they hired Craig, and they were paying Craig. I said, what are you paying Craig? So I was on a school board previously, and they got this sheet out and chart out, and I said, throw that chart in the garbage. I said, you need to pay Craig this right now, otherwise he'll come work for me for it. We can't lose Craig. Kind of opened their eyes. I just said that, opened their eyes
Yeah.
up. Well, we don't know how we could do that. I go, it's called a stipend. You pay your FFA teacher, your egg teacher, you give her a stipend or him a stipend for like $2,000 or $3,000 a year because they work through the summer. Well, Craig works through the summer. Ah, I got it. So now Craig's getting paid what he's actually not. He's not actually paid what he's worth, but he's
Get in
paid
there.
better than what someone else would be. And that's what we need to do because we don't have tech ed teachers no more. Nobody even hires them. Nobody even goes to school for it. So we have the people on industry are going out in there trying to do it, retired people. But we need to incentivize the teachers, young teachers. And we actually have a teacher here we hired in the summer who was he was a student teacher at Cardinal.
Oh, no way.
And I hired him during the summer because he wanted to know how manufacturing is. So he's actually working through the school in the school year, and then he works here full time this summer now. Great guy, and he knows that, man, I can come work for you and double my salary tomorrow. That's not me. I want to be there for the kids.
But he's there for the kids.
Be
I
there for the
think
kids.
you brought up an interesting point with not paying teachers. I mean, I know that's off the topic of manufacturing, but it's a real thing. It's touching our youth, and I think it's interesting that we don't put more money into the teachers because those are the people that are talking to the kids. Those are the people that are shaping them, and they spend more hours with your kid than, I mean, I don't have kids, but they spend more hours with your kids than you spend with your kids.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, and you're right. There is no tech anymore. There's not even like home ec at like schools anymore. I mean, there was like that. We call it FCS. Like my sister was in it, and by the time I even got to middle school and high school, it was gone. There was, I mean, none of that is even there anymore. But send me that information for this public funding that you're starting, and I'll make sure to put it in the description in case anyone wants to learn a little bit more about it.
Yep, they have a website. Now, I'm not really part of it. Wade Lots is kind of taking that up, and he's a tech ed teacher at the college. So he wants to go out and shine, and he wants to go out riding in the sunset, and I have more power to him. And
Yeah,
it's amazing how much money he's raised already. And we
people
have
see
one,
value in it. It's just
yeah,
getting
and
it out there.
we have a school in our district. We wanted to give him 18 machines, and they turned us down.
The school turned you down?
The school turned us down. Yeah, that it just blows my
Why
mind.
did
We'll give you a teacher, we'll give you 18 machines, and you can teach your kids a skill. And they said no. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
they just didn't want the program? They
Well, they
did.
didn't want the maintenance cost. They just, they think you got to have 4 years of English. You got to have 4 years of literature. You got to have 4 years of biology. That's the mode they're in. It, that has to change. The bigger the school, it was a big school, and the bigger the school, the worse it is.
And I think we're sitting here. You said you had no college degree. You
Yep,
went to tech school. You started sweeping the floors, and now you're here. Some
yep,
kids, some people, I mean, I went to college. You go through 4 years of high school, well, obviously 12 years of school, and then you got to go to college, and then you graduate at 22, 23, 24, depending how long it takes you, and you know nothing.
yep,
And somehow, it's a hard time wrapping my head around it. Somehow that schedule is more important than teaching kids real skills.
yep.
Just,
See, so I'm a believer that to go into 4 year college is no good, or you're cramming too much in a college in 4 years.
yeah.
Well, I'm the kind of person that likes to do a week class, learn that what you learn the week, and apply it for like 2 or 3 months, then go back and learn something new, apply it, take steps instead of just cramming all this in.
I mean, on.
Give them a month off for Christmas, giving you the summer off. No wonder why you're going to school for 6 years to learn something, or 5 or whatever it is, 4 years. Where you can, if you learn it in steps, you're gonna learn to apply it and learn on the job, and it's gonna come much more natural.
For sure. I mean, that, like I told you before, I coach, and so I mean, that's kind of like how it is. It's like progression. You start with a lunge, and then you go and do a handstand, and then you learn this, and then you practice that for a while. And then once that's the foundation, then you build on that, and you build on that, versus taking 6 classes at once, and you barely even know what the teacher is talking about.
Yeah,
And you graduate with a degree that you can't even make the money that the degree cost, which is insane to me.
yeah,
And you're like, you know, I think I saw some crazy statistic. Well, one, it was like 40% of people have 40% of college enrollment drops out by sophomore year, which is insane. And then there was another one, and I think it could have been in like the 30s or the 40s. I don't know. Maybe you've read this one, but that it was almost like majority of people that graduate with a college degree don't use it for what they went
nope,
to school. I mean, I didn't. I went to school for political science. I wanted to be an attorney, and then had this crazy injury. To make a long story short, that's how I ended up in manufacturing, was because I couldn't take the LSAT and all this stuff, and it was just a whole big thing. But I didn't even use my degree.
no. I got a bunch of people here that are 4 year college degrees, and but I'll get one thing. You go to college, you learn how to learn. You learn how to learn. You have to, otherwise you're not going to be
Yes.
successful.
Yeah,
So
you
that
definitely
does,
learn how to well, I mean, I learned like some time management skills. Learn how to absorb information quickly, and being able and then regurgitate it quickly. I feel like that's what I got.
Yep, exactly. That's correct.
That is awesome. Well, Matt, this has been a great conversation. I think all of our listeners are going to really enjoy it. You've provided so much insight. Your story is so compelling. I can't wait for more people to hear it. I know you shared it before, but it's an honor for me to share it on the Manufacturing Muscle podcast. But before we go, I want to do my last three maxed out questions. I'll read them off to you, and as long or as short of an answer as you want, we'll take it.
Okay.
All right, so the first one is, if you could give advice to an aspiring shop owner, what would it be?
Three things if you want to start. I mean, that's why I tell people, be able to risk everything financially, be ready to go 24/7 for about 3 to 5 years, and make sure your family's on board before you even start. You got to say yes to all three of those, otherwise it probably won't end well. I'm not saying it will, but those are the three things that I stuck with. That if I look back at my career, my dad started, those are the three things that we have always had.
Those are good staples. Yeah, I can see those being super important for sure. And then next is, you had a crazy story with so many ups and downs right there in the mid 2000s or 2010s ish. What mentality and traits do you think you have that helped you persevere through those tough times?
I just think, that go back to my school teacher, don't take no for an answer. When you believe in something, first of all, kind of come up with a goal where you want to go, because the goal without a plan is called failure. But if you truly believe in something, and go for it, just do it. And if you can't, find help along the way. That's what I did. I just found help. Don't be afraid to ask, because if you don't ask the question, you're never going to get the answer. So look for somebody to help you and believes in you. They're out there. There's a ton of people that will help you.
That's awesome. That's good. And then lastly, what is something that is looked over by many but appreciated by you?
I guess I just like seeing people be successful. I mean, that's kind of and I don't think a lot of people think that they're successful because they either did something wrong or they don't see the hard work behind it. So I've always tried to drive people to be more successful.
And that's it.
That's it, I guess.
That's awesome. Well, Matt, again, thanks so much for being with us. I'm really excited for all of our listeners to hear this. Everybody listening, I will leave all of Cardinal manufacturing information, MRS, and this new, what did you say it was, SOS? SOS?
Yeah, SOS.
The SOS link in the description so you guys can check it out. If you can help in any way, shape, or form, please do. Thanks, Matt. I hope you enjoyed your time. Hopefully we can have you on again.
And show our muscles for Muscle Podcast?
Yeah, we should. Manufacturing Muscle. Signing off.
All right.